Hi everybody, it's Joni Young. Thanks for joining me today for this painting tutorial of the Brooklyn Bridge. This is a mini cityscape, nightscape. I'm so excited to show you all how you can paint this, and it's a lot easier than you think. So let's get started going over the basics here. I've got a number 10 flat, number 4 flat, and a mini liner brush. I've got some turquoise, some black, and some white. Check out the description below this video for a full list of all the colors and brushes and some links to other tutorials that you might enjoy. I'm working on a 6x6 inch painting paper. This is canvas paper by Arteza. I'll have a link below for that as well. And what I want to do is just make sure that I have my brush a little bit wet to begin. That's really important with being able to blend and pull that paint across whatever surface that you're painting on. So a little bit of water will really help your paint go a lot further. And with that being said, I'm just going to start coming in with a gray, so a little bit of black and white. You can add a little bit more black or white to yours if you want, making it lighter or darker, of course. And just a few little brush strokes, not completely straight across for the sky. This way, when I'm coming in with little scoops, a little bit on an angle, I'm creating mood and making it more interesting and dreamy like. So alternating between a little bit of turquoise here and there and a little bit of white, I'm going to lightly layer over and not apply a lot of pressure. You don't have to push hard at all. If you push too hard, you're going to lose that soft blended look. So try to be a little bit lighter with your pressure that you're using. I'm going to wash my brush completely out, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of turquoise and start coming in the bottom. So what I want to do is take just a little scoop of turquoise and white. The white will really make that turquoise pop out. Once it dries, it'll stay a nice bright turquoise color. So a little bit of white really helps to do that as acrylic paint dries darker. I'm going to pull a little line across for just underneath where we're going to have our buildings, and then pull and flick down for the starting of the reflections. So a little bit more white, a light little pull and flick. So you have all those little lines in there. Now you can do this as much as you want. So if you happen to go over it, don't worry, you can bring it right back. Acrylic is really forgiving, and you can layer as much as you want. So I'm going to go in both directions, down and across. If you do this, this is going to give you that blurry look and illusion of water so easily, just with a few little brush strokes like this. And then a little bit of black, very gentle, not a lot of pressure. You want to make it look like a bit of a grid, so a weaved kind of a look. Here's the first line for the starting of the bridge. I'm going to switch over to my number 4 flat now so that I can have a bit more control, because this is going to be smaller. I need to create smaller shapes and lines now. So number 4 flat, bit of water and black. I'm painting wet on wet, so you can paint this. You can start your bridge on your painting if it's already dry or wet, so it gives you 2 options. I'm now going to create the line for where we're going to have all our buildings, so our little land line here, and then I'm going to make it a little bit thicker right here on the left. So I'm just applying a little bit more pressure, a little bit more paint. I'll pull and flick down, light little brush strokes for the reflection in the water. Again, you don't want to push too hard. You want it to look soft and feathery like. And I really like using a little flat brush for this because I can get those square shapes. I can make little squares, little rectangles. And just by using a little flat brush and creating these little squares and rectangles, you instantly get a cityscape. It's that easy, you guys, and wait till I show you how to add the lights. That's even easier. You're gonna be addicted to painting these little nightscapes and cityscapes, and as I'm mentioning that, I've got so many more for you to check out. Ones that are just black and white, ones that are full of color, so you get all those bright, beautiful lights that the city has and all that nightlife. And it's very exciting and fun and satisfying to paint. So check out the playlist I have below, and I'm going to keep coming across here all the way to the far right by doing the same brush strokes and shapes. You can see where I didn't use as much paint on the end. It looks like those buildings already have those lights in them and those windows, which is really cool. And that's another technique. I go more in depth with that in a previous cityscape that I've done. And then I'm going to add a little line across the top, giving some more character to some of these buildings and just little peaks. And you can change your cityscape up as much as you want by doing this. Once I come in between these buildings, I'm going to turn my brush so I can create some skinnier lines, just defining some of the edges. So some of the buildings will have darker black outline on one side, some of them will have a highlight on them. Just by doing that and adding lots of different shades of the black and white together, darker and lighter, you're going to create depth so easily. At the end of this video, of course, I'll be adding little hints of turquoise to the lights in the buildings as well, which really helps tie all of this together in this painting. So I'm going to work on my reflections here just a little bit more and build this up a little bit before we'll start painting our bridge here really quick. I'm going to add the other side of the bridge that goes down lower and it's farther away, so it's just a little block or a little rectangle there. And then I'm going to add a line on the top. It's all about bigger to smaller. If you want to create a dramatic landscape, you can just learn a few simple techniques that are going to help you learn how to do perspective in a painting, and then you're going to be happier when you're painting because you've learned how to do so many more things, and you can get out of your comfort zone and, you know, challenge yourself to paint things that you never thought you could. So I'm hoping I'm doing that here today in this video for you guys. Taking a little bit of white, I'm going to come inside and just do quick little taps, little tiny pulls. You don't want to have a ton of paint on your brush, but just by tapping like this, see that? You get instant windows and lights. It's so fun to do this too, and you can choose other colors if you want. So you can add some pastel colors, tint your white with reds, pinks, oranges, purples. I'm going to try this painting again with more colors. I'm going to stick with the grayish underpainting first and then come in and add my colors. So stay tuned for that, and I think I'm going to be doing that on a larger canvas. And then in that video, you'll learn a lot about color mixing too, and what colors look nice together, how much to add, and light and shadow for that as well. So turning my brush the other way, I'm going to do that tap, tap, tap. So inside the buildings, little taps and short little pulls, letting off on the brush, leaving those spaces in between, of course, with the dark gray and black. And then down at the very bottom where we would have the street, there's going to be all those little cafes and stores and street lights, as well as the lights from the cars. So that's just what all those little tight taps are for those lights there at the base. Now once I do this on the buildings, I'm going to start coming in with a bridge. I'll just add a few more little taps and dabs here, and by doing this on either side of the bridge, it's going to make the bridge stand out even more. So you can definitely see the dark part of that bridge, the first part of it, standing out now, because on either side of it we've got all those lights. Now I'm going to take a little bit of black and I'm going to start the line. I'm going to start it up higher and slightly slope, and this is just really important, a slight slope. See, it doesn't go down in a full arch, it gradually goes down, and it's going to be skinnier as it goes down and then thicker and darker towards us here on the left side. That is going to help the perspective as well. It's going to create that near and far. Now I chose this painting to share with you guys today because I think it's got such an exciting appeal to it, perspective-wise, combined with the lights, the shapes, and that hint of turquoise. I really enjoy this one, and I only pick the tutorials and paintings to share with you guys that I enjoy the most, because if you feel, you can tell when you're watching my videos, you'll be able to tell if I'm not excited about something. And I only want to share my best painting experiences with you guys, and this one in particular is so much easier to paint than you would think it is. So no matter what level you're at, if you're a beginner, you can do this. No matter if you're an advanced painter, you can do this and take it to the next level. So you're learning some new techniques and tips in here that you might not have before. And this comes with being a self-taught artist. I never learned from anybody, so I've developed my own tips and tricks myself that you may not have seen anywhere else. So I'm adding some highlights now. As you can see, some gentle little pulls and flicks with white in the water as well as the top of the bridge. And again, it gets brighter and then thinner, thicker bright white on the left, and then veers off and starts to disappear off to the right. I'm going to add a little bit of black now as well for some reflections in the water and going in both directions. So I'll tidy up this line here as well. I really want to make sure that I've got an equal amount of highlights and shadow on my structure here. This is the main focal point of the painting, is this bridge. I don't want it to look like it's like falling down or crooked, so I kind of want to take a little bit of time here just to define these lines and work a little bit more on reflections in the water. And that's just something that you can play around with as much as you want. You could add less or more of, play up on the turquoise absolutely if you want, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I think I want to add some more turquoise in these buildings, so just taking a little dab of turquoise and white and just tap 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 lightly. If you have a brush that starts to split apart in the middle like how mine is, that is what is going to make this even easier for you. When you have those little spaces in between and it's pulling apart, use that to your advantage by adding the lights and the windows in your buildings. So it just saves you so much time. You could do this with a liner brush, one by one lines and dots and dabs for your windows, and of course and absolutely that would work, but I'm just showing you guys these little tips that are going to help you create things a lot easier and quicker. I'm going to add a little bit more black now, going over the main base of the bridge and right above where we're going to attach our lights to. Now what I want to do is come in with some more white in just a second here, and I want you guys to pay close attention to where I'm adding the white, and the little space, the little line, I'm going to leave just black. So I'll take some white on my little number 4 flat. I'm going to go across and then stop part way and then begin again. So you're going to leave a black line in between right there. Now I'm going to take my mini liner brush, a little bit of watered down black and white, or just black if you want. It's important to have water in your brush so the paint flows out of your liners, especially when you're using a liner as tiny as this one. I'm going to create a few little scoops for where I'm going to attach my lights. I'll do 2, one a little bit higher than the other because we've got one on either side. Now the one here on the very left is in line with the other ones, so we only see one there, but there are actually 2. They're just very, very symmetrical, and I'm going to go down and just keep doing rows of 2 right down to the far right. Now at this point of the painting, this is where I really start to get excited, and I'm like, this is so much fun. I want to do another one right after this, and I did. So that's how you know you're having a lot of fun when you're painting, is when even while you're working on one, you've got ideas for the next one right after. I love that. I think it's because of all the shapes and especially the perspective in this that I really enjoy this one so much. I'm taking a little dab of white on the very end of my brush so it looks like a little ball on the end, and you're just gonna dab as carefully as you can. And the more paint you have on your brush, the less pressure you need, okay? So don't push. Resist trying to push and paint a little circle. You need more paint on your brush if that's what you're trying to do. It'll be a lot easier if you just have a little ball of paint on the tip, and then you just dab. And if you hold your brush straight up and down, it'll be easier. Now, if I did hold my brush straight up and down for this video, that's all you would see was my hand and the brush. So for filming purposes, I'm just gonna have my hand a little bit on a slant as I'm adding my little dabs and dots for my lights. As we get down right in the middle, right here, they're gonna be closer together and kind of just look like they're all connected and smushed. So I just tap a lot closer right there in the center, and that's why I'm doing that. As I'm painting this, it kind of reminds me of like a pearl necklace, and I have painted a lot of pearl necklaces with my portraits and my tutorials I have on here, so that's kind of the same effect. You could just tell yourself, you know, I'm just painting a little necklace here, so I'm gonna just dab, dab, dab all those little pearls or little beads. It's really, really easy. This painting looks like it might have taken you a lot longer than what it did, so I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of this one, and of course, see your versions of it on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And I will be leaving links below for those where you can join and you can follow along and share yours. So I'm going to add a few more lights here and there now, just with my little liner brush, just dabbing and tapping with a very tip, straight full on white. I'll add a few more highlights and reflections in the water. I'm also going to be adding a little bit more to the sky, but I think it looks nice just like that. You definitely don't have to. I always like experimenting and leaving that in the videos so I can show you guys how you can add a little bit more to your paintings and change it as you go along. Okay, so I'm going to make a light gray color here. Get my brush nice and loaded up. And wherever I made some off shapes here that are maybe not as circular as I'd want, I just cut around so that it kind of matches the background gray I've got. Then I'm also going to come in and add a few little lines and highlights here and there, a few little lights in between here just to break up that solid black that we've got. And then I'm going to take more black and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to kind of define a little bit more around where I've got a lot of light going on. So just in a few areas, especially on the far left, I'll be redefining right here. I'll be adding another little line on either side, and right down to the bottom I'll try to straighten that out just a little bit. But keep in mind that when you're working on a painting, it's not incredibly important making everything look perfectly straight. What really draws me and a lot of people to a painting and art are the imperfections. It makes it look more dramatic and exaggerated, and that is what art is all about. It's an interpretation. Otherwise, why not just buy a photo, right? So hopefully just saying that and mentioning that helps to kind of keep you guys on track and not lose faith in painting. And don't forget that it's all about the experience and really just having fun expressing yourself with paint and a brush or whatever medium you use. So I'm going to take a little bit more black here and there and go in between those lights, add a few little more details. You could just leave the painting just like this, but I'm going to add a few more things, little dots and dabs in between some of the lights. I especially want to go right in here on these buildings and add a little bit more black. With the lights, I want to do a little dabs, and I'm just going to apply tight little dabs, tap, tap, tap right in there to really show off the lights above. I'm going to wash my brush out and switch over to my number 4 flat now. So I have a little bit of water on my brush, turquoise and white, more white than turquoise, and I'm just going to create a soft, puffy looking sky here with these clouds. So just little scoops, little swirly scoops, and you can dry brush to blend it out, or you can use a little bit of water to help blend that out. Keep in mind, the more water you use, the more transparent the paint will be. So once it's dry, it'll be a lot duller and less colorful looking. So if you use more white and dry brush, it'll stay looking more like that once it dries, that nice and bright effect that it has. I'm going to add a little bit, just squeeze a little bit of light right in here in between. So don't ever be scared to go back and work on the background. It's usually the best idea is to finish your background first and build your layers up to the foreground. But we all know that once in a while that happens, where we just have to go and add something to the background that we forgot or we need to paint over. So you definitely can just use really small brushes. Make sure the rest of your painting is dried first, and you can definitely do that. It's best to come in with less paint and just ease into it. And then I'm going to come down here with a little bit of black. I'll be taking a bit of turquoise too and just adding a few more dramatic reflections here in the water and shadows. I'm going to add a little bit more turquoise to some parts of the bridge and the buildings in the background. I'll take a little bit of white and I'll come in, turn my brush on the side, and carefully go in there and add the last few details of lights. I'll tap around the edges of these ones that are more in silhouette. Now, I don't have a lot of tutorials here on my channel using paper. I 99% of the time paint on canvas in my videos, but I do have a few paper tutorials, and I accidentally ordered some painting paper. I thought I was ordering my paper palette, like what you see. I've got my paint on the left side there. So I've got these two little pads of painting paper. It's by Arteza. It's acrylic painting paper, and I've got it taped down. So this is all new to me because I don't really paint this way, but I have to say I really enjoyed it. It does buckle a little bit compared to canvas, but other than that, I really like this paper, and I definitely will leave a link below. And once I pull the tape off the edges, it gives it such a nice, clean, almost like a little frame around it. So that's really, that was a really enjoyable little bonus part of this painting experience, was when I took the tape off. I'm just adding a few little dabs and lines on the top of the bridge there for a railing, just kind of a light gray color. But see, with the tape off now, it just looks so pretty. I don't have the right tape to tape it down, so it took off, it pulled a little bit of the paper on the top left corner. But anyways, this painting's all done. I've got lots more coming for you guys here on my channel. You're going to learn so much here. I've got so much to show you. Passionate about painting and showing you guys how you can feel that way too, and learn so much in the process. So I want to wish you guys happy painting. Take care. Subscribe to my channel for more so you don't miss out on anything coming up here. And I'll see you guys all soon in another video. Bye.